So I wanted to do a breakdown of this particular visual because I just feel like it utilizes a lot of the things I do often in my work. So let's get into it. This is a great song by John Mark Mcmillan and EAMES. It's a remix, and they approached me to do a visual for it. So, I had a lot of fun with it. The whole concept behind the video is kind of a journey through sort of different realities, and it all started with a thesis that I kind of wrote down on a paper, and I stuck to that thesis as much as I could. I try to do that with every video that I make, is kind of give myself some parameters of what's allowed, what's not allowed, and it kind of keeps me focused on what I want to create. And that's one of the biggest things, honestly, I've learned from a mentor of mine who told me that even though you're making an abstract piece of work, there should be something behind it, and I understand that that's like an opinion-based advice, but I really like that opinion, so I took it to heart, and I kind of been making everything with that in my head, just trying to figure out what I'm trying to make, even though it is very abstract and perhaps most people won't understand what it's about. But I will, and that's important, and I might not tell you what it's about, but it just helps with the creation process. I think that's something that's very important to me, is just understanding abstraction, even if I'm the only one that's understanding it. The whole video kind of goes from the singular protein all the way to a realistic kind of space in nature. And it goes through almost like a creation sequence, from the beginning to the end, where we explore these segments of creation, and I really wanted them portrayed as fractals, which are these mathematical structures, so we go from 2D visuals of those fractals to 3D visuals of the same fractal. And I kind of wanted to imagine creation in a little different way for myself this time. And this whole thing is inspired by math and fractals, and obviously the movie Annihilation, especially the Mandelbulb, and looking more into kind of this whole idea of geometry of nature. And that was something that interested me a lot. So I wanted to utilize that whole idea of math being the main source of creation, and whatever that means to anyone, if that's God or if that's some kind of divine reality that we don't understand. That's kind of the whole goal here, is to just journey through the creation of a reality, So, we journey through reality. At first, we see these unfinished 3D structures and things being created in kind of like this bland 3D world where there's no color, there's no nothing. It's mostly just structure and a mesh and a geometric, some form of geometric thing. This is more fractals. And as we continue, we kind of start glitching into this reality that's more normal, and that's more like what we understand as reality. But it still isn't, it still leads us into this space that's not real, it's kind of still like this section here is meant to be this trickery on the mind, where we understand this as reality, but it's still just a representation in 3D form. until we get to this end section, this is where we first encounter some type of a real thing, like these are, and it's still mixed with things that are not real. So I really wanted to play with our perceptions here, especially, towards the end, where I made reality not as clear as I shot it. So it's still kind of just behind some kind of filter where it looks more VHS and kind of beat up, whereas we continue and only the thing, and we come to the end where we are released into this long shot that's almost meditative and beautiful, that we can just sit around and maybe think about our reality, So that was kind of the mindset that I was that I had while creating this whole thing, just this journey from a singularity and a math created world, these patterns of nature and geometry. I guess I've been just obsessing over this search for reality, and I think this visual represents that, like a search for reality. Yeah, so that was kind of like an overview of what I was thinking while making the video. And I am going to go into more details of kind of how this video got made, because there's a lot of things that I do often in other videos and other visuals, that I kind of approach it this way, where a lot of these elements that are here, a lot of this stuff is made to look a little bit less pristine, and it's kind of like it's not clean. Most of this stuff is not clean, and even here you can see I love utilizing kind of distortions and making things look less digital. So I usually come in to an edit like this with a mindset of, I have to lay out every kind of I have to have a layout before I start messing around with kind of the style of it. So I am building kind of like a Lego set where I'm finding things that are working together, and the structure of the whole story here is broken down into this set. And some of this stuff starts existing towards the end, where I am trying to layer different effects and different videos on top of each other that kind of give me this look that I'm looking for. And for this one, the look was kind of psychedelic and weird. Just a good colorful psychedelia that I perhaps haven't seen before, So this beginning, I really wanted to start off strong and just kind of take the viewer on this impactful journey, start him off right away. This fractal zoom starting off here, this infinite zoom takes us right into this kind of divine mind where we begin creation. And the big thing that I did here was these layers, as you can see. Let me zoom out a little bit. So I did a lot of layering in this video where I shot different stuff. So I shot a few different things on a phone and a camera, where I basically utilized my iPhone 7 footage for a lot of these layers that I'm doing here. So like here, this is, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, almost 8 layers, 9, I guess, kind of woven together in a way that creates this chaotic. It looks kind of wild, and it starts with this, but then ends with this rather, where it's all just, and it's just layers of videos with different blend modes mixing into each other. I'm doing a lot of this stuff with just simple recordings of, like, for example, this is just a macro shot of water reflecting in a pool, and it just produces this amazing reflection and glow. And this layer is used in this video so much. Like I'm using this effect of layering in so many of these transitions throughout the video, where it just is just adding so much. Is just adding so much to it. So like another good example of that is basically this, where is this layering happening over here that is giving me a little bit more of an interesting transition between images, and I'm just layering the water. It's this water that I shot at a pool, and I'm using a hard light overlay setting, blend mode, and what's happening in that 3D object's head is the iPhone footage with fireworks. So this looked like this, but then I re-recorded it on the screen, on an analog TV screen, and this is what I got. And I just felt, so the whole re-recording thing is a technique that I actually do a lot, especially with chaotic visuals, where it's basically a way of hiding bad modeling in 3D and masking things that don't look as good out of the box. And yeah, it just makes things look a little bit more organic and not as digital. And a lot of times when you don't put a lot of effort into digital looking things, they just end up looking terrible. Like this transition is just this is actually cool, because I shot a bunch of slow shutter stuff in a park of just trees. And what happened is I just got these, streaks of light, and I kind of knew what I wanted coming into this. So I wanted to get this specific effect, so then I can use that use that for transitions. So this is just this clip with a bunch of inverted effects on it, some brightness, and a divide blend mode. And it's giving you this interesting transition where then with the re-recorded screen, it, produces such a unique effect. Like this, that would have been, I don't have any idea how to animate something like that. It's so chaotic, and there's just so much unique texture to it that it just creates this cool looking effect. And it's all just layering of videos. And so that's kind of like, basically this section over here is everything that you need to know about me. I just take random stuff and trial and error and see what works, what I like, what I don't, and I just kind of roll with the generated effects that I get. And there is a sense of, I've planned, I kind of knew what I'm gonna get with what I did here, but I didn't there's things in here that I there's no way of planning for, you know. So the colors that I got lucky with, because I wasn't sure if it's just going to be, because there's a few more sections here where, you know, they're more like this, where they're just white overlays. And it works for the sections that I'm using them, but this one actually worked with these RGB colors. Like it kind of is psychedelic and DMT like or whatever. Yeah, so it kind of works, you know. Sometimes you just get lucky. But then this is so a lot of the stuff that I made in 3D, well, so I used two programs for the 3D stuff. I used Blender, and I used Mandelbulb 3D, which is another software that just creates mandelbulbs and like fractals. So like this fractal was made in Mandelbulb 3D, and I exported it as an object into Blender, and that's kind of how we. And then I can, you know, mess around with it, put light on it and everything. But I'm not really going to go into the Blender world here, because it's just so much, you know, that there's so many amazing tutorials out there. And this one is, I'm going to link it in the bio, or link it down below in the description, because someone figured out how to make this Mandelbulb and is just incredible. Like, I don't know how people do that, but I basically just followed their tutorial and kind of created this Mandelbulb from that. So it's, you know, I'd like to say that I'm more advanced and I can figure out how to do this stuff on my own, but I'm not. I just kind of use what's in front of me, and I'm thankful for the people that are. I'm just appreciative of the people that are smarter than me in Blender, so I can learn from them. And there's just so many. There are so many good tutorials out there for anything 3D Blender. So yeah. And well, I guess I have to say I use another program, because all these Photoscans are Photoscans of things that I've encountered kind of in different areas. So like this was a Photoscan from the hike that I did for the footage later on. And this is a Photoscan at a little creek by a motel that I visited. And this is also from the hike. It's just it's part of the further Photoscan that you'll see. And these Photoscans were just made with pictures and Alice Vision, it's called. I think it's called Alice Vision. Alice Vision. It's photogrammetry. Yeah. So it's this. And also there's so many tutorials out there for this, and especially this one is Alice Vision, is it? Oh man, I'm blanking, but it's basically a free software for photogrammetry. That's also open source, I think. And you know, you can just basically take pictures and make them into 3D objects, which is just the coolest thing. That's the coolest thing. You know, taking pictures and turning them into 3D things is just like, I don't know. I just think that is the coolest thing. That's all I have to say. So here also you see these, I do a lot of transitions with kind of overlays. And this is, I think, just a water. Yeah, so this is just another way that I use like an overlay that I shot. So it's just it'd be so boring if I just went, you know, just without it, just go back to back. I don't know, there's something more interesting about doing that way. It makes it seem more analog, it makes it seem more organic. there's like a feeling to it, and not just doing it the old way and just sticking shots next to each other. And even this stuff may be more aggressive and like stylized, but it fits with the song, it fits with the vibe. There's just some kind of interesting aspect to doing it, adding something to this simplicity. And I think I am more of a chaotic editor. I love creating moments of chaos and kind of jumping between calm and wild and simple and crazy. Less is not more, more is more, someone very wise once said. I don't know how true that is, but I like it. This is just a slow shutter, bunch of these slow shutter videos that I'm layering. These are them, I guess. Okay, so here I'm layering the re-recording of the edit. But then here, I think, what is this? Yeah, this is the slow shutter. So, this is just more of that layered onto this fractal here. It just looks more like organically generated, because if I animated that, you would know that I animated it. Like, it would look more clean and just not like this seems like I did something special, where I just kind of adjusted this footage over it and made it look like this glow is spinning in this uncontrollable fashion. So like I said, I do mix a lot of these re-recorded scenes with the original scenes, and there are moments that are just like really interesting because of it. And this whole, so stylistically, I wanted to also sell this idea of like realities blending with each other. So there's that kind of concept behind that, where it's not just random, but it adds to the whole thing, adds to the whole concept of what I'm trying to make. So this is my backyard, and I kind of did this long shot where now we're switching into a new type of reality. We're transitioning somewhere else. Some more fractals. We're kind of breaking down the creation, and now we're seeing these singular fractals being kind of flowing through the air, and they're appearing, and they're seemingly creating some other reality here. I love this Photoscan, this wood in between rocks. This was on the hike that I went to shoot the actual nature stuff, and I just found this in Linville Gorge, and it's just amazing, And here is just basically me putting the mesh into Blender and animating the light. It's super simple stuff, and it's Eevee. It's real time, so the renders are fairly short, and you honestly don't need a great computer to run Eevee either. So it's pretty cool. Like you can do a lot with not a lot, I really recommend you guys, jumping onto Blender, especially if you're interested in 3D. And there's just so much you can do with it. You could potentially edit all your videos in Blender too, and do the whole video production pipeline in there. I'm used to Adobe, and I like the Adobe software, but you could figure it out and do everything in Blender, which is kind of a cool idea. And I don't know, just the open source nature of that software and how it's progressing, and just it's amazing. I love the software, and I'm just excited to keep learning in it. Yeah, so we go further, and there's still the fractals, and this is all like I said, this is all just me layering stuff and messing with blend modes, colors, and I literally putting a camera in front of an analog TV and putting that over your original footage and making it look way cooler, way worse, way more analog than it was. And there's also like a meshing that happens when you film stuff on the TV. Like all the effects kind of mesh together, and like it almost bakes everything together, and it makes it look like it belongs, like the digital layers don't look separate, but they look like they belong together because they actually are baked together through the TV screen. It just kind of gives it like an organic vibe. So here we're getting into the real textured 3D photo scans, and this is just a texture that's generated by the program Meshroom. That's what it's called. It's Meshroom by Alice Vision, I think. But it's Meshroom, and there's also a lot of tutorials on that online, so you should check those out. But yeah, here I'm jumping between these clean 3D animations of photo scans and light and the re-recorded analog ones, just to kind of show you that we're getting somewhere more real. This is my backyard. This is some stone formations on the hike. And here is the first time we're actually seeing a real image. This was all shot. This last part of the video was all shot in Linville Gorge area. Basically, my wife and I went out to the gorge and brought a tripod camera, a few lenses, my 5D Mark II, and I basically was planning. I shot so much footage, just like static nature shots, and a few photogrammetries. But it was a super strenuous hike, and we were just carrying a bunch of equipment with us, so it was a fun little adventure. And here I kind of added this later on, where I thought I'm just going to finish the video with a bunch of real footage like this. But I was like, I think I want to mess with this edit a little bit, where I am holding on this nature shot. We're like, okay, this is finally coming to an end, we're landing somewhere, and nope, we're still in representation of reality. And for this one I tried to go a little bit more realistic, where it's the water looks kind of funky, but there's something about this image that just is exciting. Like, it's almost real, but also rendered with the EV real time. Super cool. Just a photogrammetry with a very simple plane creating the water. Very, very easy stuff. And here we're back to reality. And it's like, okay, finally. Oh, nope. We're still filter through. Okay, what are you doing to us? Like, why can't we just land in reality? We're getting somewhere. There's, sky's moving, and boom. This is kind of like the holy grail where we get to see reality. And I actually it was pretty amazing getting a text from John Mark saying, man, I got emotional at this shot because it does feel like a release of sorts. It feels very cathartic to like go through that chaos and experience it and land somewhere beautiful and meditative for 16 seconds of this this definitely longer than any other shot in the video, and there's no movement, there's no nothing. You just get to sit and watch the river flow, and there's something beautiful about that. Yeah, so like going through it like that, I hope you can see like there's a lot of just like play here where I'm not trying to I'm planning out kind of beforehand what I want to do, but then I'm playing inside of that boundary. And even stuff like this where at the beginning I wanted to create something in 3D that looked kind of like this rock, which is actually a little video that I found on archives.org, which is like this video about proteins. And I watched it because I was looking for footage of cell splitting, which I thought I was going to use. But then I saw this and I was like, whoa, this is kind of sweet looking. And basically took this and put it in the video. Kind of used as a sample, like a hip hop artist would use as a sample. That's kind of, I do that a lot with videos from archives.org. And archives.org, actually I have on my bookmarks. Archive.org. And honestly, this is just an amazing resource for inspiration. There's a lot of weird stuff in here, but like if you type in cell splitting and you go to videos, but then you go to movies. So like this is the video that I found and I kind of ripped. This is made in 1931. Oh no, that's the guy. So this video is 1972. Let's see. And you can just download it here. H264. And boom. And I'm not necessarily encouraging just like making videos out of other videos, which you could. But there's just something to like sampling videos. That's really cool. I think mixing videos together and like layering them on top of each other, I think there's nothing original under the sun, as people would say, and I kind of agree with that. But you can have a fresh outlook on things that are there, and like me mixing math, that's not original. Proteins aren't original. These colors, they're psychedelic, inspired by psychedelic things, and you get something interesting. And I think that's my approach to a lot of videos like that, where if I'm making a visual for an artist, I will either approach it with like okay, let's make something from scratch, which this video basically is making something from scratch, or let's make like more of a music video style thing where I'm gonna record the artist and I'm gonna have a crew and shoot a film. But here, this is more of like an artistic approach where I'm basically painting with videos, and I'm looking for finding these connections between shots and utilizing textures from videos and blending things together, almost like paint, just using iPhone footage and other videos as textures on top of other videos. And I think that's the main thing that I would love to convey, is just to like the ability to use whatever you have access to and make it cool. So I would love to hear your guys' kind of take on if you'd like to see more of these, and if there are any other videos of mine that you would want to see broken down. Here's a little reel right now going that is kind of my work, and I do a lot of this stuff, so I'm just curious if people are interested in seeing how certain things are made. I know I could go in detail with more stuff, but I'm not sure which stuff is like the most interesting. So let me know in the comments or on my Instagram or wherever, my email, my website. I'm pretty easy to reach if you are interested in reaching out and asking questions. I'll try to answer. So yeah, I hope this was helpful to some extent, and we'll see you later. So if you made it this far, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed the breakdown of this video, and I wanted to send you to my website so you can download the Photoscans that were used to make this visual for free. You can just go to jacobblank.com and go to the downloads tab and just download all of them for free and use them however you want in whatever project you want. So I hope that helps, and peace and blessings. Bye.